Well, everybody, welcome to my very first YouTube video. And I'm going to be doing the newbie tag, just like everybody else has been doing. I read, or I shouldn't say I read, I listened to Digging Books, and I got the questions off of her. So I'm going to do mine right now. I have my trusty old cheat sheet right here. So anyway, here we go. I'm going to answer some questions, and we'll see what happens. Why did you start your own channel? Well, I have been in the book business and been messing with books for 35 years. I got started back in 1979 and just been helping other bookstores and working with them and just playing with them, playing with books and sharing with friends. And over the years, I've just been a reader. I constantly have a book in my hand. I constantly am reading. My girlfriend always says, "What are you reading now?" Or if I don't have anything, "What's wrong with you? Are you sick or something? What's going on?" So anyway, why am I starting my own channel is because I want to share my experiences and also share books that I've read, give recommendations, receive recommendations from other people. And so anyway, that's what I want. That's why I started my own. Number two, what are some of the things you can bring to Booktube? Well, I can bring my knowledge. I know a lot of authors. I know publishers. And so just my knowledge of books and my fun of reading and my humor into behind my reading and my humor and about the book business and everything. So that's what I'm hoping I can bring to you. What are you most excited about? Well, I'm most excited to meet other people who love to read and who are out there wanting to, expand their libraries or get to know new authors and such. So that's what I'm hoping to do. That's what I'm excited about. I'm excited about starting my own channel and getting out there and getting known, getting shown, and just kind of talk about books and everything. And so, number four, why do you love reading? I love reading because it just takes you. It's a therapeutic thing for me. My mom and dad used to read like crazy. If my dad read a book, he'd give it to my mom. My mom read a book, gave it to my dad. But I wasn't into Agatha Christie or Earl Stanley Gardner or Meryl Reinhardt or anything like those. I was always, when I started out, I was starting with Hardy Boys. I started out with the Hardy Boys series. And of course, my grandmother had a house on Lake Oswego, Oregon, and she would, the house was so spooky that when they find out the tower treasure, when I read that, all I kept thinking about was, where's the treasure in her house? I mean, really, where was it hiding? Down the dark stairwell, down the basement, out on the boat dock, out in the garage, where? So, anyway, since then, I've always loved to read. But I didn't really start reading until I started working for a bookstore in 1978, actually 1979, in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Once I started there, it just took off from there. What book series did you get into reading? Star Trek. When the movie came out in 1978, they started this whole series of Star Trek books. That's all I ever read. But then I started branching out. I started reading horror. And of course, I got into Stephen King. And I got into other books of horror. And that's just basically where it all started. So I worked in the bookstore. I was the person who brought in the books, put them on the shelf. Of course, I always took them home, read them. And of course, my dad loved William Moore. So I had to bring home his books. And then I started reading some Westerns, not much. But I really started reading the horror genre from the 70s and 80s. And then, of course, Star Trek and science fiction and fantasy. I read a lot of those. What questions would you ask your favorite YouTubers? What questions would I ask? I really wouldn't ask any questions because I watch them and they've already answered a lot of my questions that they've, over the months that I've been watching them. I just look at it as, are you having fun? That's what mainly I would ask. Are you having fun? Have you read anything that's surprised you or anything like that? Those are the type of questions I would probably ask my favorite booktubers. What challenges do you think you'll face? My challenge always is, now that I'm retired, I'll have more time to get out and do these videos. I'll be doing book hauls. I'll be doing book unhauls and other things like that. So, I mean, I'm just doing other things. Every day is a challenge. So, if you look at it like that, every day is a challenge. So, you just take it as it comes. We learn every day, so I'll just take it as it comes. When did you start reading? I think I started around 7 years old. I'm now 63, but I started around 7 years old with the Hardy Boys. But then, of course, when I started in 67, I also collect Hot Wheels and Matchbox. So I was collecting those, and every time I went to the store, my mom would always ask me, do you want a Hot Wheel, Matchbox, or a Snoopy book? So I was always reading Charlie Brown and a Hardy Boys, and that's all I ever did until 1974. Then I read Jaws, and that took off. That did it for me right there. I took off from there, and I started reading everything I could find, thriller, action, movie, whatever. When did you learn to read? I learned from my mom and dad about 8 years old. I remember sitting down reading the very first Hardy Boys, and she would sit there with me, and if I got to a word I didn't understand or sentence, she would point to it and go, okay, what do you think it sounds like? Okay. Well, once I did that and started comprehending what was going on, then it took off, and I just started reading from there. And where do you read? I read everywhere. I have a shed outside. I read outside. I read inside my little room here that I'm in right now. I read outside. I read in bed. I read in the car. I read anywhere. If I have my Kindle, I have a tablet, I have a physical book, I read everywhere. Can I read with TV on? Yes. I finally learned how to tune out the television. I read with music on. So, especially with music. I have music playing in the background. I'm reading. What kind of books do you read? Well, there you go. I read horror. I read mystery, thriller, dark romance, some science fiction fantasy, extreme horror, splatploitation. I hope I got that. I said that right. I read dark romance. I think I already said that. Erotica. I read a lot of that. Thrillers, psychological thrillers, and westerns. All kinds of westerns. I read, when it comes to westerns, it is William Johnstone, Charles West. I don't read Louis. I don't know why. My dad always did. I never could get into him, but I read everybody else, so I don't know why I didn't get into Louis. So, and what is your book collection like? You don't want to know. That's some behind me. Some on this shelf. I have stacks over here. I have stacks down in front of my television. I have stacks over on my corner over here. I have stacks of books in bags behind my camera. I have a storage unit down in Airway Heights, Washington that's got about 40 boxes just full of books. I mean, the collection is immense. It keeps growing. It keeps growing. Every day I go someplace, yard sales, garage sales, thrift shops, whatever. I always come home with anywhere between 10 and 20 books. And I know I'm never going to read them all, but it's just the fun of going out and hunting. Going out in the wild and going, oh, there's something I haven't seen. I got to put in my collection. So it's just a constant thing that's going on and on and on. And what book am I currently reading? Well, I just finished last night. I finished Blackmouth by Ralph Malfi. Finished that one last night. And right now I'm ready to start Clown in the Cornfield 2. I finished the other one last week. So what I want out of this, of course, they never ask you, what do you want out of your channel? And what are you going to present in your channel? I'm going to present recommendations. I want to hear recommendations. If anybody says, if they have a great series or a book that they want to do in the genres that I read, I will definitely take that on advisement. And I want to recommend what I read, and I want to show you what I pick up in my book hauls, and I want to, share with you the books for the month that I've read. So I'll do end of the month wrap-ups, stuff like that. But for being my very first video, I hope that this introduction kind of gives you an insight to what I am and what I'm about and what I love to do. So if you like it, please hit that little thumbs up down there. Please subscribe. Please let me know what you're reading. And I'm going to be doing another video here probably in the middle of first next week, because I was tagged by Digging Books on this June on the range reading that's going on all month. So since I'm in the westerns and everything, now I've been tagged for those questions. So I'll get that in the next video. But until then, I want to thank you for taking the time you're watching this one. And I'm Kevin with Kevin's Bookcase, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you very much, and all take care. Bye-bye.